Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in the past few videos we have learned about numbers and strings in Python. We have also learned about how to take input from the user itself. So in this video we are going to learn about if and else statements. As you can see here, if and else statement. These statements are also known as conditional statements. So let me give you an example and then I'll explain you what if and else statements are. So suppose if we have two numbers, say for example number 1 equals to 20 and num2 equals to 10. So now here we want to determine if number 1 is greater than number 2, or in other words which of the number is greater. So what we can do here is we can simply write if num1 is greater than num2 and just put the colon and hit enter, and here you can write print num1 is greater than num2. Let me run this cell and then I'll explain you what is going on. So here as you can see it says num1 is greater than num2. So what's happening here is, so here we have assigned two values to num1 and num2. Num1 is 20 and num2 is 10. So now what we'll do is using this if statement, we'll check this condition. If this condition is true, then it will print this. If this condition is not true, then it will not print this. So it's very simple. It just check this condition. If this condition is true, then only it will execute these statements. Otherwise, it will not. So let me give you the other example. So I'll just copy it and paste it here. Suppose now we have, say for example, num3 and num4, and I'll change it to 30, I'll change it to 30 and 40. So in this case num3 and num4. So now what are we checking here? We'll check if number 3 is greater than number 4 or not. If this condition is true, then it will print this, otherwise it will not. So let me quickly run this cell, and then here you can see it does not print anything. So if this condition is false, it will not print this or it will not execute this statement. So we can also do something like say, okay, let me copy this, paste it here again, and so we can also do the alternate. So now what we can do is we can write else print num2 is greater than num1. Okay, put this in double quotes. Okay, so just run it. So here you can see the output is num1 is greater than num2. So let me change the values here. I'll make it as 10 and I'll make it as 15. So again if I run this cell, it says num2 is greater than num1. So what's happening here is it will check this condition now. Now what is the value of num1? Num1 is 10 and num2 is 15. So 10 is not greater than 15. So this statement is false. So if this statement is false, it will not at all execute this statement and it will check the else part. So what does else mean here? Else means if this statement, if by any chance the condition, this is known as the condition here, num1 is greater than num2. So if by any chance this condition gets false, then you can print this statement. So here we can check two conditions, that is if num1 is greater or num2 is greater. Now suppose if both the numbers are equal, say num1 and num2 both are equal, so in that case what we can do is, well, let me just copy this whole code and put it here. Okay, so now that I've copied and pasted the same code here, say for example if our num1 and num2 are equal, so what we can do is we can write one more if statement. So if num1 is equal to num2. So okay, print num1 and num2 are equal. So just run it. Here it shows num1 and num2 are equal. So now what will happen is it will check this condition here first. So yes, this condition is false. As you can see, 15 is greater than 15, which is false. So now it will come to the second condition. It will check this condition. So is this condition true? Yes, this condition is true. 15 is equal to 15. So it will execute this statement and it will not execute this statement. So one thing to remember is that it will only execute either this if block, or it will execute only this if block, or in the last it may execute this else block if both conditions are false. So guys, now that we have learned about if and else statements, let's learn about what are nested if else statements. So nested if else statements are nothing but writing if else block inside a if else block. Let me give you an example. Say a equals to 105. So what we want to do is we want to determine if a is greater than 50 or a is greater than 100 or a lies between 50 and 100. So what we can do is we can write if. Check the first condition, if a is greater than 50. If a is greater than 50, what we can do is we can write one more if statement, if a is greater than 100. Then if a is also greater than 100, then we can simply write print a is greater than 100. Else what we can write here is if this statement gets false, if this statement is true, it will simply print this. And if we can also write if else print a is less than 100 and greater than 50, right? So it will only come into this block when this condition is true. So if a is greater than 50 and a is greater than 100, so then only this will be executed if a is greater than 50. But if and then this condition gets false, then it will come and execute this print statement. So what we can do here is now we can simply write one more else statement, else. So suppose if this condition gets false, it will not at all come to this block. It will not check if this condition is true. It doesn't care. If this condition gets false, it doesn't matter what you write inside it. It will simply skip this if block and come to another block. So if this condition gets false, so let's write print a is less than 50, right? So let's execute it. It says a is greater than 100. Now let's change the value to say 60, then run it. It says a is less than 100 and greater than 50, right? So this is executing fine, and let's check one more condition. Let's say equals to 10. So it will print this. So what's happening here is a is equals to 10. So this condition is failing. So if this condition is failing, it will simply not come to this block and just execute this block else part, right? So this is called nested if and else. If and else statements are one of the important concepts in any of the programming language because we use it almost everywhere. So you will find it even in you will find it in C, you will find it in C++, you will find it in Java, Python, R, or any of the programming language. So let's combine whatever we have studied in the previous session and this session using everything. So what we want to do here is we want to check if a number is odd or even. Okay, so how we can do it? So let's declare a variable, say num equals to say 10. So now what is the concept, like how will we check if this number is even or odd? How do we determine if a number is even or odd? If the number is perfectly divisible by 2, then it is an even number. Otherwise, it's an odd number, right? If we divide this number, say 10 by 2, what will be the remainder? The remainder will be 0. So for any even number, if we divide it by 2, we get the remainder as 0. So this is what we are going to use here. So let's write if number, we want to check the remainder. So if you remember the numbers and variables class, in that class I told you how we can check the remainder. So to check the remainder, we use this modulus. So this modulus, so this number modulus 2 equals 0. So what does this mean? So what this number is 10, right? So this number divided by 2. Modulus 2 is made when it will give you the remainder. So 10 modulus 2, it means if we divide 10 by 2 and if that remainder equals to 0, if we are getting a remainder equals to 0, then it's an even number. Even number. If it's not, then else print odd number. Right. So let's run it. And here you can see it says even number. Now we can change the value of num, say 11. And we'll run it. It says odd number. So this is how we can determine if a number is even or odd. So one more thing I want to tell you is that suppose if you want to take the number from user and then you want to check if that number is even or odd, how can you do that? If you remember in the last video I told you how we can take input from the user. So let's do that. So what we'll do here is, okay, let me copy this code here. So don't worry guys, in the description box I'll give you the link to this notebook, and then you can download it and refer it anytime. So okay, so now what we want to do is we want to take the input from user. Now what we can do here is we can simply write input and then your parenthesis, enter a number. So what will happen is, so if I run it here, so if you remember, if we take input as, if we use input method here, what it returns is it always returns a string type of variable or a string type of input. So here we cannot divide a string with a number. So what we want to do is we have to typecast it. If you remember this also I told you, like for getting a number as an input we need to typecast it to integer. So we'll do it as int. So this internal block will run first. So it will ask for an input. So whatever input will get it will convert this as an integer, and this integer will be stored in this number. And then this condition will be checked. If this condition is true, then it will execute this statement. Otherwise it will come here. So now let's run this cell and then see. So we have run this cell. Now it is asking for a number. Let's put the number as say 48. Then hit enter. It says it's an even number. Let's check the condition for odd number as well. So run the cell again and then put 15. Hit enter. So it gives you an odd number. So see now here we are taking the input from user and checking if that number is even or odd. So this is all about if-and-else statements. So if you have any queries, please put in the comment box. I'll be happy to answer all of your questions, and I'll put the link in the description for this notebook file. You can refer anytime, and yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe the channel and also hit the bell icon. So thanks all, thanks for watching.